Facebook and Zynga also came up in the 13Fs. Now, in your fund, you have Pandora, for instance, you have Baidu. Facebook and Zynga not really represented. Again, you look at stocks like this, and it's interesting because Zynga's not really doing that well. It's
right.
disappointing on the earnings front. The stock has been selling off despite the fact that some were buying it, and there's a chart that shows you just how severe that
right.
sell-off was. So do you look at those names and think maybe Pandora is not the top conviction, maybe it is, once again, a Facebook? Or do you look at something like that and say, okay, I know one fund manager might really like it, but we don't?
So we do a couple of things around that. One, whether it is a top conviction or not for a hedge fund is very much determined by how much do they own of that particular stock. So again, if there's one of these high conviction large managers that's selected for the fund, if they own more than 5% of Pandora, it's one of their top conviction ideas, it's very likely a candidate to come into the fund. Having said that, because you can have some of these names that do underperform and you have a fund that's much more concentrated, let's say an S&P 500 fund, one of the features of the fund is that it equal weights all of the holdings, so that if you have any of the particular bets of one of these hedge fund managers that just doesn't perform how that manager is expecting, the overall impact in the portfolio is a little bit mooted by equal weighting all of the components.
Yeah. GM is one that you have in the fund currently. GM made it through some filings, Appaloosa Management, Putnam increasing their stakes. Some of the other managers also bought into Ally Financial, which was it was the finance arm of GM. It was recently spun off in an IPO. Does it matter to you if a company was recently IPO'd or not?
No, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think, again, as long as one of these managers just takes a very large position on them, a very large long position, and they have a conviction on that name and the potential performance of that name going forward, it really is irrelevant to us whether that name was a spin-off or whether it was a recent IPO. As long as there's a manager that really has a large position, we'll likely have that, again, through that programmatic system of adding it into our portfolio.